Deepa, can you hear me?
Hi, Bindu. Yes, good morning. I can hear you.
Yeah. So we are waiting for Garima ma'am and Pankaj sir, right?
I thought I saw Pankaj here a while back.
Oh. Uh,
Sorry, hang on. I can't see the participant list anymore.
I can see Joshi sir, Mukesh sir, Rajshri ma'am, and Amit sir.
Okay, so Pankaj sir and Garima.
Yeah.
Bindu, I'll call them. So just sorry, give me a sec.
Yeah.
Hey, so I dropped them a personal message
Hmm.
also.
Hmm.
Um, you can start in a minute if they don't join.
Okay. Sure. Okay. I think I will start now. Can all of you hear me? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you all doing after the last workshop?
Ma'am, we are absolutely fine. Ma'am,
Okay.
last week we attended a seminar on assessment, board reforms and assessment,
Okay. Okay.
and there was a discussion on NEP 2020.
Okay. How was it?
Ma'am, it was very good. People from all over India, they gave their presentations on
Huh.
NEP 2020 and their board reforms.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it looks quite promising scenario for the future.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Like, oh, what is one thing that really impressed you about the NEP? Like,
Ma'am, I think foundation stage, which has been given 5 years. I think
oh, the foundation.
yeah, it's really important for a child to
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
develop his abilities and basic core competencies at
Hmm.
that age. Yeah,
Yeah, the
that re-
foundational F,
yeah,
learning
that
and
really
numeracy.
impressed me. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What about others? Everybody attended? All
ma'am,
the others?
only ma'am, only Amit sir was there.
Okay. Okay. Amit sir, how was your experience?
Uh, it was quite awesome. Actually, good
Ah,
morning to everyone. Hello, am I audible?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're good. Good
Good
morning
morning
to
to
you too.
everyone.
Yeah.
It was awesome actually,
Ah,
very fruitful, and we got so much of information and reforms about the other states that what they are doing and
okay.
what they
Okay.
are supposed to do.
Ah,
And for me, the striking feature of NEP is that they are covering the multi-dimensional skills. Means the education is just going to be skill based.
correct.
So
Correct. Correct.
it won't be only job oriented. If somebody doesn't get the job, he will be
Ah,
skilled somehow so that he or she could get itself any job, or he can even create a job to others as
correct.
well.
Correct. 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 Yeah. It's. I
That is
think
the
the
key
vocational,
for me.
vocational learning has been given more importance. I think like this
Yes,
time. Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
never been given in such a way.
Correct. 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 Yeah. Because even academically have aptitude there. No classics on.
Very good morning to everyone. हम तो आपसे ही कर रहे हैं। ये 4 से 7 में
Are you mute? Are you on mute? Mute है ना? Mute सारी बारी से नहीं mute नहीं है.
Will be looking at our never went and that matters to
Hello. Hello.
can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Earlier you were not audible actually.
Oh, okay, okay. Everybody can hear me, right?
Now we can hear you, ma'am.
And you can see my screen also, laptop screen.
Capacity building workshop, state assessment cell. Is it the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Bindu, you're a little soft for me. Can you just check your mic?
Um,
Can everyone else hear Bindu?
all of
Well?
you can hear me well? Soft, is it? Can everybody hear me well?
Yes, ma'am. Now you are clearly audible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's fine.
Oh, it's fine. Or should I just remove my Bluetooth and talk into the So let me know when it becomes off, then I will. So what I was saying was that so far in all these talks we were at question level and a little bit at assessment level itself, but we never talked about a particular type of assessment in detail. For example, summit. Today we will get into the most important type of assessment that have direct impact on learning and teaching. And within formative assessments, we go deeper into one aspect of it, which is like conducting students. All of you have conducted the student interviews, right, as your assignment?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you all to sum up your experience in just one word. Can you just type one word in the chat? Sum up your experience uh, when you conducted the chat. What do you how what was your feeling when you conducted or after conducting the all of you can hear me?
Yes, we can, but not fluently. Actually, your voice just not coming to.
Is this better?
Yeah,
Hello?
actually, I was paid to ELTI, so I couldn't join in time.
Can you hear me well? Deepa, is this better?
Yes, ma'am. It's much better than before. Yeah. Now
Okay.
you are clearly audible. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Garima ma'am, I was just asking everybody to sum up their experience in conducting the student interview in just one word. Rashri ma'am has said connection. Can all of you just type in one word?
Okay. I just need 5 minutes to reach upstairs as I'm downstairs RSK. So as soon as I reach upstairs, I'll be able to.
Sure, sure, ma'am. Sure. Meanwhile, others can type in.
Yes, ma'am.
All of you are able to see the chat window, conversation window? Amit sir? Pankaj sir? Can all of you unmute yourself? I can't hear anybody.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Speaking.
Yes, sir.
Network issue आ रहा है फिर आज.
Is this Amit sir or Mukesh sir?
This is Amit. Actually, ma'am, there is a network issue here, so I'm just going downstairs to the place where I can just catch good network.
Okay, okay, sure. How about Mukesh sir?
Give me a second.
Ma'am, I am unable to type into the chat box.
Okay, can you tell me, sir? I will type it out for you.
It was really exciting experience for me and my learners as well.
Exciting is the word. Okay. How about who is Pankaj sir has joined or? Pankaj sir, are you there? I'm not able to see the names on the icons. Deepa, are you able to?
Yes, I can see Pankaj sir here.
Informative, Amit sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Pankaj sir? Pankaj sir, are you here?
Pankaj sir, you have to go and unmute if you're speaking.
Pankaj sir, you need to unmute.
Maybe he can't unmute, but yeah, he's in the room.
Oh, okay, okay. Joshi sir? Joshi sir, can you hear me?
Can anyone else hear? Because we're not getting any responses today.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I can hear you clearly.
I can hear you clearly.
Joshi
This
sir,
is
can you?
Amit.
So do
Joshi sir, can you get a response from you about your student interviews? Can you give me one word to describe it? I need you all to respond, otherwise it will be just a monologue, and that would be very, very boring for me and others.
Are some of y'all in the same room? Like, just trying to figure out, is this a network issue or is Joshi sir like not on the call at
Joshi
all?
sir has typed helpful
Oh.
in teaching and learning process. You need to figure out with Pankaj sir why he's not able to interact. So,
Okay, I'll call him.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I will get into the presentation now. Okay. Okay, so today's agenda is going to be like knowing the significance of student interviews and formative assessment, and how to conduct student interviews, the method and practices. Okay, so we will get into the details of this. I need you to interact with me as much as possible so that the session is engaging. If you have any trouble, do let Deepa know in the group. Okay, so before going into student interviews, we will place student interviews in the context of formative assessments. To place it in the context of formative assessments, we will look at the different types of assessments first. Remember, we had a discussion in one of the sessions about the different types of assessments. We were doing a exercise as to if you were to build a course, assessment course, what all will go into it. And one of the main headings for that was different types of assessments. And so all of you like came up with the different types of assessments, and one, like, in three broad categories in the educational setting, we can say there is a placement assessment. This is done by schools when new admissions happen. Uh, the school wants to determine what grade level the student is actually at. So they might give an entrance test to see where the student is standing in the learning process. So they give a kind of a entrance test, which is, so that is the why and how. It is a very formal test, and this is given typically before instruction. Then we have the diagnostic test, and which is also a form of a formative test. This happens, during the instruction, and this is mainly done for checking students' understanding of concepts. So we will get in detail into the formative assessments in the next couple of slides. So formative assessments are usually informal assessments and they are not very high stakes. This is only for informing purposes. Then we have the most important, most high stakes assessment, which is the summative assessments. This is to check the students' achievement of the learning curriculum or the learning objectives in terms of the learning standards, how much the student has achieved. And this is usually a formal type of assessment, and typically it is given after the instruction. Yeah. Sometimes what happens is, when formative assessments carry weightage for the final exams, then formative assessments also play a summative role. So here, when I am distinguishing between formative and summative, it is purely as a low stakes and a high stakes assessments. So like this is the different types of education assessment. Then we will move on to the differences between formative and summative assessments. This, I think we've talked a lot. So I would like a couple of you to discuss the difference between formative and summative. Can one of you, Garima ma'am, have you settled down?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So do you want to
now I have reached it.
Okay, you are able to view and hear?
Yes, ma'am. Now I can.
Do you have access to the conversation chat box also, or that is disabled?
Yes, that also I have. Ma'am, I have only one query regarding this previous slide. In that slide, I was under impression till now that in the beginning, before instruction, the diagnostic test is done. And after that, during the teaching or during the instruction, the formative assessment takes place. And at the end of the learning, the summative takes place. But now, as this placement is to decide the grade of the students, so can we categorize them, or can we arrange them in order as placement, then diagnostic, then before the instruction, and during the instruction that formative one, and at the end of the learning summative one? Should it be in that sequence? Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible. I think Bindu is a little frozen right now, so I think her internet might be. But Garima ma'am, we could hear you.
Was the previous the things that I stood were those also audible, ma'am, or should I repeat again?
So Garima ma'am, we could hear you. So Bindu is frozen right now, so I can respond to your question in the meantime till she's back. So yes, mostly the order is right. Like placement is usually like a screening or anything that you want to do in advance to understand where the learning path, which one should the child follow. So that usually comes before you decide which learning path they should take. So it's usually done at the start. Then we have diagnostic. Now diagnostic can be technically done anytime. You can diagnose in the starting. It's like a medical diagnostic exam, right? You can diagnose at the start, you can diagnose in the middle, you can diagnose at the end. So diagnostic is, it's just as it sounds, it's a diagnostic exam. So that can be placed anywhere. You can also do a diagnostic at different times to see how children are progressing and how they are, if the diagnosis is changing over time. And formative and summative you summarized correctly. So the only difference is that I would say diagnostic is not only before instruction, it can also, it depends on how you want to use it, but you can use it multiple ways and at multiple times.
Can you hear me, Deepa, now?
Yes, you're back.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So Garima ma'am, as Deepa was saying, like diagnostic can be done in the beginning also and during also. Like no, so the purpose of the test, what is the main reason you're conducting the test will drive the where the rest of the information, when it is to be done and how it is to be done. So diagnostic can be done in the beginning also. So suppose the placement happens. Placement is purely like a formal thing done by the school to check whether the child is eligible for admission to a particular grade. And so that test can also be used as a diagnostic test, right? So mainly the purpose will determine how it is used and when it is used. Is that clear, Garima ma'am? Here I've just put it in a very broad framework, but they can, as I told you, like some of the formative exams can also perform summative role. Like if they say, okay, 20% of weightage in the unit test will carry over to your final test, then formative also becomes summative. So these can overlap. Garima ma'am, is this clear?
Yes, ma'am. Now I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So here it is, just keep it as a broad framework, but it is flexible and you can adapt things for your purpose.
Fine, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So now we'll go into the major differences between formative and summative. We'll discuss all these things as a general recap so that we can, step into student interviews with a full knowledge of, what kind of things we expect in a student interview and what are the outcomes. Okay. So the difference between formative and summative, I think all of you know very well, and we've discussed this multiple times in many of the earlier workshops. Can one of you all of you take turns to, bring out some of the differences? We can go in alphabetical order. Amit sir, can you start?
Okay, I am always the worst one.
next time we can reverse alphabetical order.
No issue. I'm just saying in a light manner. Okay. Okay. So formative assessment is, as we have discussed, that it is done while teaching, means during that period.
Okay.
The first one thing. Summative is that the end test. Okay, that how much the student have learned, and it generally engaged with the grading system, marking system, evaluation system. Okay, when we evaluate them, when we are going to know that how much they have learned, and that for me, that is a first difference between those two. Okay. Formative is that for making some improvement, what are their weak links, where they need to improve. So during our teaching, we need to do formative assessment.
Sure. Others?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Next, Garima ma'am, anything you would like to add?
Yes, ma'am. I can say that formative assessment, as Amit sir has told, that it is done during the learning also. We can say while learning. Whereas summative assessment is taken after the learning. So it is off learning, assessment of learning. And generally the half-yearly exams or the annual exams or these type of exams can be categorized under summative assessment, whereas the weekly test or the class test can be can come under informal assessment.
Correct. Thank you, ma'am. Joshi sir, alphabetically you're next.
Thank you, ma'am. Whatever ideas coming in my mind, Amit sir and Garima Batra madam have already said about that.
Okay. Anything you would like to
add? Is meant to find out where the students are, their strengths, their weaknesses, the areas where they can improve, they need improvement. And as everybody says that summative assessment is done at the end of the syllabus to give the grades to the learners.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Joshi sir, next is Mukesh sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I think formative assessment may also help in improving the teaching learning process.
Yes,
I mean,
very
it can be a
nice.
great it can
Yeah,
be a great help for a teacher, as
correct.
these are conducted in the classroom scenario. So it is quite helpful for the improvement in teaching.
Correct.
And
Very.
summative assessment can be used to whether to promote the student or not, uh, supplying them with some grades or marks.
Hmm. Yes, very nice. That's a very important thing because it's not only useful for students, it's useful for teachers also. So, yes. Pankaj sir? Pankaj sir, can you hear me? No, so no response. Rashmi ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. All my teammates have already discussed everything. Uh, but I would like to point out, as you said, that formative and summative assessments can overlap each other.
Hmm.
Formative can also become summative
Hmm.
if we use it for that purpose. For example, CBSE just conducted their biannual exam, first
Hmm.
annual exam in that, and they have given weightage of 40%.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
are going to add those marks in the final exams. But, in this way, formative is going to contribute in the final summative test.
Ma'am, there's one correction here. This what CBSE has done is they have divided the summative into two parts.
Okay,
So,
okay,
okay, they are not. This is not a formative assessment for them. It's a final assessment, first part.
okay, ma'am. Okay,
So
ma'am.
they are not like going to use this data to reteach concepts because those concepts will not be taught again.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah,
information.
yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes, yes, sir.
ma'am, this is
Yes,
Amit.
I can hear you.
Ma'am, we have a doubt actually.
Yes.
It's related to our exam, one of the exams that we recently appeared in that. That remedial teachings come under which of the assessment? Remedial teaching.
Remedial is for formative. So in summative, what happens is you've taught the concept and your final, it's over. The teaching part is over, curriculum is over. Whereas formative is when you're trying to find out are the students learning correctly? And at the time you find out, okay, the student
Okay.
is not learning. So I'm going to do a remedial intervention. So that there is
Yes, we did the same.
there is a scope to reteach the same thing in formative. So remedial is
Yes.
conducted under the formative assessments. But there are
But
ways to use the summative assessments also for formative purposes. Suppose you take the last year's final exams of a student, the performance of a student in the last year final exam, and see what all mistakes they've made. That test itself can become like a diagnostic tool. Then you can say, okay, the child is has missed this concept, probably past tense. This is not the child is not very strong in past tense. This you find out from the last year paper, and then you conduct a remedial. So remedial can be conducted at any point, but the the major majority of the times it's conducted during the formative exams.
yes, I understand and we discussed the same thing. But the problem is that just as you mentioned, that it also includes the summative assessment, one thing. The other thing, Rashmi ma'am has done MAD. So there is a specific unit in or a specific topic in MAD that uh, remedial as diagnostic assessment. So my question is that if the question is there in any exam that remedial teachings comes under, now we have four alternatives: summative, formative, diagnostic, and all of these. So what should be the correct answer?
That is a very tricky question because
it was there. It was there in our exam.
What was their correct answer for that? Any idea? What did,
we have not got by now. We have not got by now.
Because it's a very tricky question. See, if I say remedial, what is a remedial? Remedial is you are remedying a concept for a particular student, or for a group of students. Now I can do it at any time. Like I can, before the class starts, I can conduct a small diagnostic. Suppose I am going to teach past perfect. Now past perfect tense is a little higher than, little complex than simple past and past continuous. Now you want the children to be good with past tense, simple past and past continuous. So you do a diagnostic to see if they have understood that. Now, if you think that if you know that the child is not good at that, you will want to do a remedial at that point in time before going to past perfect. So then it becomes a diagnostic test. It can be done at the diagnostic level.
There was no such situation given there.
So then that is very tricky, sir. There is no correct answer to it, or there are multiple correct answers to it.
Oh, now I got my answer. Now I got my answer.
So I can take the last year summative test also and conduct a remedial for that. I can take a formative test and conduct a remedial. So remedial I can conduct for any type of assessment.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a query here.
Yes,
the interviews which we conducted just right now for our workshop, where will we place them, in formative or summative?
It will be informative, ma'am, because in summative, there is no, you're not trying to find out whether the student is learning well. That learning part is gone. Are they currently learning? What you're trying to do is, have they learned well? So you're assessing a finished product. So it will come under, now why do you conduct student interviews? You want to know whether the student is thinking in the right direction when they are choosing an answer for a question. So when they are thinking aloud, you might come to know, okay, these are the errors they are making, these are the misconceptions they have. So I need to change my strategy of teaching by adding something to my strategy, or changing some strategy, or some other teaching model, so that the child understands the concept correctly and completely. So you want them to understand it fully. So there is a scope to reteach the concept. So it is a formative assessment. The word form will give an idea. So let me, all of you have discussed different aspects of formative and summative. If you see the first difference, no ma'am, for formative, it is to form a plan to improve learning. So if you go by the verb form a plan, and when you say summative, you are summing up a learning achievement. So now when you're doing a student interview, where do you think it will fit in? Formative or summative?
Ma'am, formative, of course, formative.
Yeah, because you want to know what the student is thinking, and then you want to teach them properly, teach them so that they understand completely. There you're not summing up. And other things, all of you have brought it. One is like, it's a sort of a diagnostic assessment. I think it was Amit sir said, summative is evaluative in nature, and formative assessments are more diagnostic in nature. And another important thing about formative is it's a continual process. It's not just one formative. You can have like any number of formative tests, whereas summative is limited to one or two. Now CBSE has two. Earlier it used to be just one, test for a particular year, or the semester mode of one per semester. So it's a fixed thing, whereas formative is continual. It is completely in the hands of the teacher when they can do a formative assessments. There are like, the school kind of decides some tests, formative tests, like the quarterly test or the half yearly test and everything. But there are other modes of informal formative assessments the teacher can conduct almost every day. Okay. Another important difference between formative and summative is, sorry, this is wrong. 1 second. Can you see my screen now?
No, ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am, it's not visible now.
Okay, 1 second. Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all of you can
Yes.
see? Yeah, thank you, thank you. So we saw like, and one other important feature is like the formative exams are individualized to a particular student or a group of students, whereas the summative is more standardized. Standardized in the sense that all the students take the same test paper for the same fixed amount of time and are scored in the same standardized way. Whereas the formative assessments can be, because they are very informal, the remedial and everything, the way you conduct the test can be informal, and you can, like the student interviews, like it can be individualized. Now, the main purpose of a diagnostic this thing is to identify at-risk students. Students who have not got the concept correctly or completely. You want to identify those students and make sure that they have complete the learning properly. Whereas the one of the important purposes for summative is to identify achievers in a test. I think it was Mukesh sir who correctly said that formative formative assessments are important for improving the learning and teaching practice in the classroom. Whereas summative is more like, it has bigger implications. This is just an example to improve curriculum planning, and it has, because it's a high stakes exam, like decisions regarding promoting a student, even for that matter promoting a teacher, will depend on the summative exam data. So these are the major differences. I think all the points have been covered between all of you. Now we'll go like narrow down to student interviews. Before that, what do you think are some of the common errors that student makes? Suppose the correct sentence is, if you're teaching a simple present tense concept, uh, and the correct sentence is, you want the child to make is, he goes to see Auntie Vimala. What are the common errors they make when using simple present? From your experience as teachers, how do they misuse simple present?
A student may add S to see, like he goes to sees Auntie Vimla, like this can make, or he can write the uh, forgets to add S or ES to the main verb.
Like he would say, he go to see.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
He
ma'am.
go to see.
Like that.
Yeah.
Or he can add S or ES to both, goes also and to sees also. To see also.
I am just noting down. He goes to sees Auntie Vimala. Okay. So in the first one we saw, he go to see Vimala. He's there is a error of omission, right? ES, omission. In the second example, you said he goes to cease, and this is a example for unnecessary addition.
Yes, ma'am.
So we saw an omission and an addition. Others, can you can also pitch in and say what are the other mistakes they can make?
They generally use go with the helping verb is, because in the rural areas or in a class 9th student, they are not well acquainted with English. So what they just learn that okay, is always, is or am always necessary. I am go to Auntie Sheila. I am go to see in that way.
Is, you are saying addition, adding
Is or am or are means
okay.
the helping verb that are used with in continuous tenses. They generally use that.
Okay.
So they get confused in that.
He is adding. So there's an error of addition. Anybody else? You observed any other error they make in simple present?
Yeah, sometimes they use a helping verb with the positive sentences also. He does go, or he does go. This way also express.
Okay, okay.
When I ask them to change the sentence into affirmative, he does not go, though they will write he does go.
Okay. Okay. Okay, okay. So, yeah.
I want to add one more thing. What Garima ma'am has said, we can say in another word, they just get confused about singular and plural. Means what they are adding s with they goes. So they get confused between singular and plural as well.
Okay, 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 okay.
Apart from tense, we can say that they are confusing numbers as well.
Sure, sure, correct. Another example of simple present, even we usually think that only like second language learners of English make errors, but there is a documented evidence that even first language native speakers of English, they also make common errors in simple present and all. For example, my friend lives in Bombay. It's very easy to skip the major error people make is to use the base form of the word, like live, go, instead of using the simple present. My friend live in Bombay. So these are the common errors that have been, researched and found out that even native speakers and adult speakers also make these errors. Now, so in a test, when we give a test and, when the child chooses the wrong answer, we come to only two conclusions. If the child has chosen the correct answer, we assume that the child knows the concept. And if the child has chosen the wrong answer, we conclude that the child does not know the concepts. So it's like a binary result we are analyzing. Either the child knows or does not know. Now, the interesting thing is that even the child who picks up the correct answer, is there evidence for you to conclude that the child picked up the correct answer because the child knew the concept, or was there any other thinking behind picking the correct answer? Because correct answers can be arrived at even without knowing the concepts. Now that is one scenario, and now that the children who have picked up the wrong answer, so what is the reason that they have picked up the correct wrong answer? Do we know what was the thinking in their mind when they picked up the wrong answer? So a test only tells whether it's just grading, okay, knows or doesn't know. But if we are really interested in improving the learning, and we don't make sure we what I'm trying to say is, like, we don't think of the test as as one of the checkpoints in the learning cycle, but actually take the test seriously as a lot of data input that has come to you and you work with it. Otherwise, what will happen is year on year, the child will write the test and child will make the same mistake and there was no scope to correct it. So formative assessments is the absolutely important stage where all these corrections need to happen. And what you know about children, what they're thinking is behind picking up the wrong answer or the right answer, those reasons are the ones you need to work with for your teaching. So formative assessments are very important. And as teachers, you want to continually monitor the student learning. Monitoring is like keeping watch over, you're supervising, scrutinizing, checking, tracking. You're doing all these things. And it's not like with one chapter test or with one unit test you're doing that. There is it's a continuous process. The formative assessment is a continuous process. Like there are a lot of other daily work you do as teachers that kind of helps you to scrutinize and track and everything. Like you do record keeping, you do reporting, you do decision making almost on a very continual basis. So these are all instinctively done as a teacher and informally done, right? So now, what are the things you do? Like there are many classroom uh, assessment types which many teachers use, uh, and there are a lot of resources even on the internet about classroom assessment test that it's called CAT. Um, and there are many modes of doing it. Like you can give them group work, there can be like low stakes unit quizzes, informal observations. You just give the group work and observe and make your notes. Worksheets, you can ask students to journal, they keep a journal on their learning, self reflect on their learning. And then there is student interviews. Anonymous voting, this is like you teach a concept and ask them all to write in a slip of paper, like about whether they understood the concept or not, or things like that. 1 minute paper on concepts, like ask them to write about a concept for 1 minute, what they have understood or what they have not understood. There is something called entry and exit tickets. Like the teacher writes one question on the board, and while leaving the class, all the students write their answer for that uh, question on an exit sheet and give it to the teacher. And then there is something called doodling concepts. Doodling concepts is you give a concept and ask the child to do a free form uh, drawing on the concept. So there are like many ways these can be done, and it's completely in the hands of the teacher to make it very engaging for the children and very purposeful also. So these are various modes in which classroom formative assessments are done. We will now go narrow down into student interviews, because that is one of the very important tools to get an understanding of what the child is actually thinking when they are, elaborating on concepts, when they are choosing the correct answer or the wrong answer. I'll just wait for a moment, and if you have any questions, you can ask me, and then I can go forward.
Madam, I have a query.
Yes.
Ma'am, during the seminar, we came across a term dipstick.
Term what, ma'am?
Dipstick, ma'am, dipstick.
Dipstick.
Yeah, ma'am. Is it synonymous with a student interview?
Yes, ma'am. It's like you are just I think it's a scientific term to just dipstick and check the student learning. It's like a quick snapshot of what the student has learned, whether the student has learned or not. Deepa, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, is the dipstick thing kind of a chemical this thing that's used that it changes
Yes.
color the chemical, right? When you dip the stick.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it gives instant results basically. I think it's a pH analysis. So you instantly dip it and it'll change color and you can instantly know where on the scale it lies. It's like a COVID quick test, the rapid test that we do. It might not be 100% accurate. You might still need to do the actual COVID test to know whether or not you have COVID, but it will give you an indication which is correct like 70-75% of the times.
Is that clear, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else has any questions? Okay. So we will now go into student interviews. So like formative assessments, we can compare them, to a GPS in the learning journey. It tells exactly where the child is traveling in the learning journey, and to say if the child is taking a longer route or a shorter route, like whether the child is traveling correctly. All this information can be got through formative assessments. So it's very important to take the formative assessments seriously, so that it reflects in the summative data, summative assessments data. Now, so the student interviews are, particularly based on classroom discussions. Garima ma'am, can you read this out?
Sure, ma'am. Impact of student interviews. Classroom discussions can tell the teacher much about student learning and understanding of basic concepts. The teacher can initiate the discussion by presenting student with an open-ended question. The goal is to build knowledge and develop critical and creative thinking skills. Discussions allow students to increase the breadth and depth of their understanding while discarding erroneous information and expanding and explicating background knowledge. Black and William, 1998, Doherty, 2003.
Yeah. So we need to place the student interview in a broader discussion of classroom discussions. Among the classroom discussions, student interview is one of the strategies to build the creative and critical thinking skills about concepts. So, so what are student interviews? It is like a first-hand witnessing of how students are thinking about key concepts. So when you actually listen to what students are telling you, and making their thinking visible, what are the things that comes out? Like one of the things is like, what are the prior understanding they have as on the concept, and what are they coming with? Like children are not like blank slates, like they come in with their own experiences, they come in with their own information that they got from the outside world, outside the classroom. So what are the prior understandings they have, and what are the conflicts between those prior understanding and the correct understanding of the concept. And it also tells you, are the students ready to learn new concepts, or should I spend more, like it's kind of a decision making point, like should I spend more time on the previous concepts, or can I venture and go teach the next concept, so that's one thing. And it's also first-hand witnessing of how students are arriving at a solution for a question on a key concept. So when you give them, the first is at the concept level, and the second is at a question level. So now you put the concept into a question, and then probe them to think, probe them to answer, and then find out the reason for their answer. So you will actually get to know, like without revealing which is the correct or the wrong answer, you will get to know why the child is choosing a correct answer, and also why a child is reasoning, why the child is eliminating a wrong answer or choosing a wrong answer. So all these things you will be able to witness firsthand, and give you a very good window into their minds. So these are the reasons why student interviews are very important. So this chart will kind of tell you. So this student interviews are also called probing interviews, probing for evidence. They're also called probing for evidence, and they're called diagnostic assessment probes. So what it does is it uncovers understandings and misunderstandings, and under understandings, what kind of understanding? Has the child understood the concepts well, the procedures well, and among the misunderstanding, what are the common errors the child is making, and what are the overgeneralizations of rules and procedures the child is making. All these will tell you, where the child stands in terms of, the learning progression. And according to that, you make certain instructional decisions. You want to remedy, or you want to reinforce certain concepts, give more practice. All those decisions you can make with that. Yeah. So this kind of sums up, everything. This thing gives you valuable information for analyzing student misconceptions. Gives insights into common error patterns when answering questions. Helps to focus on concepts that need to be retaught, because in a hurry to finish the curriculum, the bigger concern for many teachers is no, I've covered the syllabus. Covering the syllabus becomes a priority for many teachers without without checking whether the child has understood what has been taught, so far. So if that doesn't happen, if the checking doesn't happen, the child will go to 8th, 9th, and 10th standard with a big gap in understanding. And as the child goes up the grade, it becomes more difficult to fix the gap. So a timely fixing of any misconceptions is very important for the child to perform well in their summatives. Also, student interviews promotes learning with understanding. Just one second. I'm sorry, there was some smoke coming into the room, and yeah, sorry. You can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yeah. So, and as the child is thinking aloud, it helps in learning with understanding. Another important factor is it strengthens teachers' knowledge of concepts. Sometimes during student interviews, we have found out that even teachers have wrong, notions about certain concepts. That also gets fixed. For the teacher, also it is beneficial, and helps strengthen teacher training to make instructional adjustments. So, we can actually see teachers conducting the student interviews and find out, are the teachers themselves capable of teaching these concepts, and or do they need training in these concepts? So it has various different functions, and all important instructional functions. When do we conduct a student interview? Like in the initial slide we saw, Garima ma'am was asking when do we, conduct the diagnostic. So, and we kind of discussed how it can be conducted at any time during the learning cycle. It can be conducted before beginning a lesson. So, suppose you're going to teach, a poem, and the poem is filled with lots of figures of speech. You can have a quick check on whether some of the figures of speech which are coming in the poem are already familiar with for the students, and whether they know the basic figures of speech. So you can do a quick check of that. So before beginning a lesson, and to understand how much they know about the topic, to check if the learner meets the prerequisite skills or knowledge to learn the new lesson. So if you think that most of the class is not familiar of what is figures of speech, you might want to do a small introductory, a session on figures of speech before actually going into teaching the poem. And during the course of a lesson also, you can do a student interview. Like if you're doing a poem, you ask them questions on certain concepts. For example, if it's figures of speech, you can ask them to identify where it's been used and how the poet has used it, and also to check if the previous misconceptions about a concept have been cleared. So it can be done during the course of a lesson, and it can be done after the completion of a lesson also. Before going into the summative test, if you want to do a quick recheck of all the concepts that you've taught has been completely understood and correctly understood, you can do it after completing a lesson, and check whether the child needs additional support or not. So it can come during any part of the learning cycle. How to conduct student interviews. So all of you conducted the student interviews. We'll talk about your personal experience and your reports and the videos tomorrow. I'm sure you're familiar with the process, like how to conduct the actual steps in conducting the student interviews. You choose good misconception questions, not like any random trivial question, but so nowadays there's a concept called hinge questions. Hinge questions are questions on the very key concepts a child should know in a particular lesson or a unit. So those concepts are taken and questions made on that, and they are called the hinge questions. So the teacher will say, okay, if the child knows X, Y, Z key concept, I'm ready to move into the next unit. So you can take these questions, the hinge questions, and write options to it, make it a multiple choice question, and give options. The wrong options should have very good rationale, like what are the common misconceptions the children have, like based on that you make the wrong options, then ask students to choose the correct option. Then you know the process, you take a head count or you count the slips of the answers, and then you ask students to come forward and explain. This is a pretty straightforward thing. The steps itself is straightforward, but when you are conducting a student interview, there are certain things that you need to keep in mind, which are very crucial for that.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what is this head count? What do we mean by head count?
Head count is just counting the number. So suppose I give a question, write a question on the board. Suppose I write a question on the board, and I ask students who choose A, raise your hands. And then I take a count of those students. Right?
Yes. Now I got it.
Yeah. So it's a simple thing. Yeah. So before we go into how the process of student interview happens, like what are the best methods and stuff, we will just watch a couple of videos that was done by EI in for Bihar learning study. We will watch a couple of videos. I'll try to play from my this thing. It's not. Have you all watched the 2 videos Bharti had shared?
No.
For the assignment, she had shared 2 videos, no? On the group? Nobody watched? Anybody watched those videos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Others? Okay. So all of you did the student interview assignment except for Amit sir, is it? Or Mukesh sir? Because those videos were shared for you to get an idea of how to do the student interviews. 1 second.
Ma'am, we have done on the basis of the instructions which were given to us. And I discussed with Amit sir and Rajshri ma'am. So they only guided how to take the interview. So I did accordingly, but I can't see the videos. Actually, I'm not getting the videos on in the group.
Aarti had shared 2 videos, I thought.
Yes, ma'am. I had seen them.
Okay. 1 second. I'm just trying to hold on. I'm trying to play the video. Just give me 1 minute. Deepa? Deepa, can you hear me?
Yes.
Deepa, I'm not able to share my video screen.
Okay, let me try.
Hello.
Hello. I'm trying to get the video to play. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, everybody was just keeping themselves mum, so I thought what happened.
No, I'm trying to share the video.
Okay, then it's fine. Otherwise, it was very nice, very nice.
Deepa, are you sharing? I'm not able to play that particular window. Deepa is trying to share it. Just give us a moment. Can you see my screen now? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I'll try and play this video. Please tell me if you can hear it. Is the sound audible? Is the sound audible?
Ma'am,
No,
video is
ma'am.
running, but sound is not audible.
Sound is not working? Huh? Deepa, I'm able to share from the browser, but the audio is not, sound is not audible for them. They're able to see this thing, video. Yeah, please, can you try? Yeah, okay. Take sentence comprehension, yeah. No. No, it's not audible. Only the video is. Where is that option? Can you all hear it?
No, ma'am.
No, it's not.
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine, fine. Okay, okay. Yeah, stopped, right? Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah. Sorry about that, like we're not able to share the audio, the audio is not working. I don't know why. Okay, we'll go back to the presentation only now.
Ma'am, should I try to share my screen and should I try to share the videos?
Do you
If you
have it
give
with
me a
you?
minute or two.
Do you have it with you?
I have. I'm just trying to. Just give me a minute if I could do it.
Sure, sure, sure. Sir.
I'm just searching where they are actually. No, no.
Shall I forward it to you again?
No. I have those actually. I'm unable to share my screen. I'm just trying to share my screen here.
Oh, okay.
Share screen. Okay, share screen. Where is team? Yes, it is there. Okay. Is it visible to all?
It's visible.
The video.
It was
Yes,
just
sir.
visible, but now it's gone.
Is it?
Now it's visible. Can you try?
Is it audible?
No.
No, sir, it's not audible.
Not audible. I think there's some issue with the audio sharing thing.
Is it still unaudible?
No, it's not audible.
I can hear it properly.
Even I could hear it when I played it from my computer. I could hear it,
okay.
But the others were not able to hear it. It was not sharing the audio. It's okay, sir.
Wait, just give me one more minute. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Okay. So. Okay, I'll go back to the presentation only. Like, I'll send the videos. There are, I think, there's a video on usage of words. Then there's a video on grammar, sentence comprehension. Then, comprehending stated facts and going beyond stated facts. These are nice videos done by EI, conducted in Bihar for a study. They give very, nice view on how students think when they are answering questions. What are their personal experience? I mean, their personal ideas on things, their subjective take on things. It's very interesting. Do watch when you have time. I thought I'll play a couple of videos here, but not able to share for some reason. Yeah. So, why are student interviews important? Like, can one of you read this and we can discuss this, like if there's an issue? Joshi sir, can I request you to read it?
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Student interviews as brainstorming sessions. We process thinking verbally, makes thinking visible and concrete. Discussion is a way of testing and exploring new ideas. Exposure to diverse points of view helps in acquiring knowledge, provides practice with problems and concepts, increases awareness of and tolerance for ambiguity or complexity, recognize and investigate their assumptions, encourages attentive, respectful listening and intellectual agility, improves self-esteem when students know their views are respected.
Ma'am, which point do you think strikes you as very important in this list?
Encourages attentive, respectful listening and intellectual agility.
Okay. Others? Which do you think is more appealing to you among this list of the pros? Anybody else? Mukesh sir?
Yes, ma'am. I think recognize and investigate their assumptions.
Yeah. Give them an opportunity to reflect on what their assumptions are. Yes. Anybody else? Rashmi ma'am?
Ma'am, first one for me. We process
Second.
thinking verbally and making thinking visible and concrete. Ma'am, it's very important to know what they are thinking and how their mind works. I think that's very important for a teacher to understand the thinking of his students. Then only he can make changes into his teaching strategy and give them reinforcements and whatever they need to correct their concept.
And for me, the more appealing was like exposure to diverse points of view. Because when a student is thinking aloud, just remember other students are listening to this student, so they are getting to see how a particular concept can be approached from different points of view. So not all students think uniformly. So every student has a take on it, and others are given exposure to this take, and that is very closely tied to the increasing of awareness and tolerance for ambiguity and complexity. So these two go hand in hand. So when you are exposed to diverse points of view, your awareness of ambiguity and the tolerance to ambiguity and complexity also goes up. I think these are very important skills, and like after every class or every lesson, if even if you spend like half an hour just talking to students, need not be a very formal student interview, but even if you just talk to them about the important concepts in that lesson, it's kind of a holistic learning process. Like the entire classroom learns together. So it's a very important feature of classroom assessments, student interviews. Yeah. So next thing, so what kind of questions we take for student interviews? Because you can't spend a lot of time on student interviews, and this is like only one form of formative assessment, you need to use it in a very efficient and effective manner. So to make the student interview process very efficient and effective, you take those key concepts a child should master in the subject for that particular target grade before moving to the next concept. So you take the key concept, list the key concepts, and then you can make multiple choice questions for those concepts. And when you're making multiple choice questions, each of the wrong option should have a good rationale. So if you don't have time to make any multiple choice questions, what you can do is you can take the previous year's state board exam question, choose some of the very good questions in the multiple choice questions. You can even take a free response questions and just add wrong options and a correct option to it. You can convert a free response question, short response question also into a this thing, or if there is a good multiple choice question, you can use it as it is. But for each option, you write down the reasoning a child will have for choosing that particular option. Because there can be many incorrect ways to arrive at the correct option also. So even for the correct option, you can write down what the child could have thought to pick up that correct answer. So you list down, you take the key concepts, make questions on it, make multiple choice questions, put down a reason for each of the option, and then you start conducting the student interviews. So when we are doing student interviews, one of the main purpose is to find out what are the misconceptions they are holding, what are the common errors and misconceptions that is playing a role and that hindering their process of answering the question correctly. So you will find out the student misconceptions coming from, so as you probe, suppose a child has given you a wrong answer and you are probing further as to why are you choosing this answer? Can you tell me, like, what is the reason for this answer being correct? And the child starts explaining, you will come to understand the common sources of misconception. So when the child says this is why it is correct, and then you further probe and ask, how did you come to know that this, who taught you that this is the reason that it is incorrect? So you keep probing further, you will come to the source of misconceptions. So when you come to the source of misconceptions, you can actually classify them into different categories. Like some misconceptions come from an informal understanding of a concept. Like the child is not been taught in a very formal, structured manner, and it comes from the informal understanding can also come from culture, religion, economic background, and there are different reasons for this informal understanding of a concept. So as the child elaborates its reason, you know that, okay, I think the child is coming from a particular, the parents have taught it like that, or this is how they are commonly understood in their culture. So you will get to know what is the reason for it. And some of the misconceptions happen, sadly, in the classroom itself because of poor teaching methods. And third, they can come from popular culture. So popular culture also has a great influence on many, academic concepts. So you will know that these are the major sources of misconceptions. So knowing these things will help you, actually design your remedial better. So if suppose the source is from a popular culture, from movies, and in the media, a certain concept is portrayed in a particular wrong fashion, then you can use those examples only in your remedial, and then clear these misconceptions. So it will make your remedial more targeted and more purposeful. Now, when we come to language, what are the common sources of student errors in languages? Rajshri ma'am, what do you think are the two sources of language errors in general?
Ma'am, errors may come from listening to others also. Suppose if teacher is not using the correct language, so he may get errors from there. He can catch even from his peers.
Yes. Mukesh sir, any thoughts? What are the sources of language errors, like in writing or speaking? Or
I think their family background may also influence their language errors. You know what language is being spoken in in a learner's immediate environment.
So we can call it the first language interference.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one is the interlingual transfer, which is the first language interference. Suppose the child is speaking Malayalam at home, and the medium of instruction is English, and the child is in the English class. There's a lot of rules and patterns of Malayalam that might influence English proficiency, right? So it's called interlingual transfer, the first language interference, and intralingual transfer. Intralingual transfer basically happens because of faulty or partial learning. So one is influence from a different language and influence of incorrect learning in a particular language. Are these two clear? Interlingual and intralingual. Is this clear?
Ma'am, please elaborate on the second one, intralingual transfer. Yeah.
Intralingual transfer is a result of it is not a result of some other language, knowledge of some other language influencing your learning, but the very fact that you're learning it wrongly or partially. So the first one, interlingual, is another language affecting the proficiency of English. And intralingual is inside English itself. When you're learning English itself, you're learning it incorrectly. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody wants to elaborate on this? Any other questions?
I think, can I go?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, Mukesh sir.
You exactly said that intralingual transfer is something within the same language. You know, the target language which is being taught to the students. You know, so I have an example, like if a teacher has got some mispronunciations, then it may be easily transferred to the learners.
Very good.
So
Very
this can be a faulty, or or some misconception that are being, like Rajeshri ma'am has said, that their peer learners, they're using some what wrong things or wrong concepts, and they are being shared among the students. Then it can also be a example of interlingual transfer.
Intralingual transfer within
errors,
the yeah, that especially the teacher, they are very strong on catching what the teacher is saying. Like you might come across instances where the children argue with their parents saying, no, my teacher taught like that, my teacher is more correct than you, right? When parents try to correct them, they depend more on their teachers than their peers or parents. So it's very important that the teachers don't hold these misconceptions themselves. So the first is the interlingual, another language interfering with your proficiency. Intralingual is faulty or partial learning. Yes, somebody wanted to say something?
Ma'am, this is Garima. Ma'am, does mother tongue influence come under interlingual, where the regional influence over the language interrupts the child in learning the proper
that is interlingual. Inter means Inter means like two things interacting with each other. So two languages are interacting, the child's mind, and then one language is influencing the knowledge of the another language. Whereas intralingual means within one language, you are you're making incorrect. You are going through incorrect learning and incomplete learning also. So, what are the different types of language errors a student makes? So there are research has shown that there are 4 categories through which you can put these errors. So whether they come from interlingual or intralingual, there are 4 types of errors, 4 categories of errors. One is overgeneralizations. Like when in the second or the third slide, I was saying, like giving example of a simple present, and I don't know who said that addition of is a very common feature. Like, like they kind of take that is as a helping verb and add it to all the tenses. So he talks quickly. This has been observed in many countries which has English as second language. Starting from Indonesia to Malaysia, everywhere the children, when they are doing English, like they use this helping verb is in most of the sentence construction. So they are kind of overgeneralizations. So one category of overgeneralizations is applying a single rule for every circumstance or for every linguistic situation. That is one category of error. The second category of error is ignorance of rule restrictions. Like for example, instead of saying I enjoy learning cooking, they use the words to learn about. So, where to use a gerund and where to use a to infinitive, those rule restrictions they are ignorant about. So one classification of errors is ignorance of rule restrictions. And the third category of errors is incomplete application of rules. Like, where they omit helping words. Like, for example, instead of saying he is eating breakfast, they skip is and say he eating breakfast. So incomplete application of rules. And then faulty concept hypothesis. This is another category of error where the concept itself has been taught incorrectly. For example, take and bring. They confuse between take and bring. And they confuse between go and come. The concept itself has been taught incorrectly. So instead of saying he is very wise, many people say he is too wise. So the concept has not been taught correctly. So these are the 4 major categories into which the errors fall in. Okay. Now we saw the categories of errors, and there are also different types of errors that they make. One is so first we saw the sources of errors, that is the interlingual and the intralingual, and then the different categories of errors. Now we are coming to the classification of errors. Like this is the easiest thing anybody can do in the classroom environment. Those are like good to know kind of stuff. But this you need to know, like what is the specific error they are making. And we saw omissions. There are 4 types: omissions, additions, selection error, and ordering. For example, Mukesh sir, can I request you to read the type of error and the examples given and what they're actually intending with that to say, but how they end up saying it. Mukesh sir, can I request you?
Okay, classification of student errors in language. First one is omissions. A good thing happened yesterday. Second one is should say also the name.
What are they doing here when they do this? They're omitting. So you can
Yeah.
see, yeah.
Something is missing.
Huh. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Do I need to
Yes,
read
yes, you
in the
can
next one?
continue. You can continue. Yes.
Additions, the Delhi.
Huh. So
I live.
additions, they add determiner unnecessarily. The for nouns.
Yes, I lived there during 10 years ago.
You can also elaborate, sir, if you want
Yeah,
to.
during and ago. During. I lived
Yes.
there during 10 years ago. I think
Yeah, because
during
there
is
is because there's a
unnecessary.
time reference, they feel that there should be some pronoun related to time.
Yes. Selection. My friend is faster than me.
Fastest than me.
Sorry,
So instead of saying selecting the wrong adjective, comparative adjective, when there
comparative,
is
yeah. There
yeah
needs to be
comparative
comparative.
adjective, instead of using faster, they make a selection error here. Instead of faster, they say fastest.
I want that I pass the test.
Huh. Here I want that, yeah.
To pass the test, huh?
No, so instead of saying I wish to pass the test or I want to pass the test.
Yeah. I wish or want, okay.
Yeah.
Ordering, get upping.
Instead of saying getting up.
Getting up, yes. ING
Yeah.
is
Yes.
added wrongly there, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plural, I think spelling is, or the sequence of the letters is not proper.
Correct. Instead of saying plural, the pronunciation, ordering of the consonants R and L gets interchanged. So instead of saying plural, they say plural. There are many, like even conductor, for conductor, they say conductor. So those kind of interference, mistakes can happen. So, uh, so if you can watch out, like if a student continuously, you can actually check a student what type of error the student is making most of the time. Then you can spend more time like correcting that particular error in your remedials. So there are this classification of student errors, which gives you a good idea of, you can do a test for the classroom itself and see if a particular, like if you have a class of 40, 50 students, and most of them are making like the common error of adding for a proper noun, then you can actually, reteach the concept itself for the entire class. Okay, so what do you all think is the biggest challenges with student misconceptions? Like you all have like a lot of experience in teaching and you worked with students most of the time. What are the major challenges with student misconceptions? I would like to hear from you because my knowledge of classroom is quite limited. Amit sir, can you share? Joshi sir?
Madam, I would like to share my experience.
Sure.
Yeah, just 3 months back when I was teaching in 10th class, they I wanted to know about what they know about articles, how to use articles, and I came to know that they have this previous knowledge from their other previous class. That you have to use that article, use of article depends on spelling, the way we spell the noun.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh.
They said when A, I, O, U is there in the spelling begins with these letters, we use N. Yeah, that kind of thing was there. Yeah.
Oh, so even for like proper nouns they were using.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Like, so Delhi will be Delhi, like that.
No, ma'am. I'm saying only 5 vowel sounds they were saying.
Huh.
Yeah, they were using N before them, even if its pronunciation began with the vowel sound.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So
Yeah,
they were not aware that pronunciation plays a part in.
yeah. They
Oh,
were, yeah. Their answer was based on the spelling. Yeah,
okay, okay.
how
Yeah.
the word was spelled. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Instead of taking the pronunciation into account. Hmm. Amit sir, Joshi sir, can you share something?
Yes,
About,
ma'am.
yes,
This is Amit.
yes, sir.
Sometimes what happens actually their fundamental knowledge is not clear. I will
Huh.
just give you one point in Ashish ma'am point. As she has mentioned that okay, they have the misconception. I would rather say that they do not have the fundamental knowledge. If
Huh, huh.
yes, so that is very problematic. Means when we have to clear the misconception, for clearing the misconception, at least they should have the concept. So they do not have even any concept about that particular topic. So that is
Correct.
very problematic. So
Okay, okay,
that is the problem for me.
okay,
Generally, English is an alien language here. Actually.
okay. Joshi sir, what is your experience? How challenging are these misconceptions?
Actually, the school in which I teach,
Yes, sir.
there are only two kinds of learners.
Okay.
Very few are there, their concepts are clear.
Hmm.
And the majority of them didn't know anything about that topic actually. So misconception, if they had earlier studied something about that topic, only then the conception, understanding of conception comes into play, whether
Hmm.
they are misunderstanding that or not.
Huh.
So very few are there, they know everything about that. And the majority of them, they say they did not give any sincere attention to all these things till 9th class, and I teach from 10th to 12th class.
Huh. Huh.
So
So they come in.
while conducting interviews also, they were damn sure that this one is correct, but how and why? So they were unable to explain that reasoning was not there, but just say that this is correct.
Okay, 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 okay. So they did not have, they lacked the idea of the concept itself.
Yes. Only they have framed the rules, and according to the rules, they go for
Hmm.
the correct answer only.
Okay, okay, okay. Mukesh sir, Garima ma'am, anything you want to add?
I have an experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Garima ma'am, please go ahead.
Sir, I'm sorry, you please carry on. Okay. During my teaching to 11th and 12th standard students, I have also felt that what they keep on learning right from their childhood. So sometimes during the pronunciation, like word could they have a very misconception, like they don't have any idea about the silent letters, or sometimes what do? They don't know where to add the. Sometimes they used to add the before every noun and pronoun. So they don't understand that where to use a or an. Or sometimes it happens like, as Joshi sir said, that sometimes they think that, okay, if like A and N. So they just learned that before this word a is used and before this N is used. And when they get any new word or the different kind of question, so they are not able to reason properly why this particular article is used, or sometimes preposition also they think as per the Hindi language, that if in a tree and on a tree, so sometimes it becomes very difficult why in a tree or on a tree, and in the chair, sitting in the chair and on the chair. So at that time sometimes they question, like they ask for the logic, why it is like this, why it is used in that way. So because they compare everything with Hindi, that Hindi अगर पर use हो रहा है तो क्यों in English why it is in. So that can be a kind of challenge sometimes.
Correct. Yeah. Mukesh sir, you wanted to add something?
हाँ, मेरा जो एक्सपीरियंस है मैम वो इट इज नॉट बेस्ड ऑन सम एनी की कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ ग्रामर और समथिंग एल्स. अभी जैसे एक स्पोकन वे में जैसे अपन बात करते हैं, सपोज जैसे कभी मैंने उनको कोई एक पैसेज या पैराग्राफ या सेंटेंस डिक्टेट किया, एंड मीनवाइल द स्टूडेंट आस्क मी, सर व्हाट सर इसकी मीनिंग क्या होगी. तो ये मीनिंग वर्ड, दे हैव इंप्रेशन दैट मीनिंग इज स्पेलिंग. सपोज देयर इज अ वर्ड रिस्पोंड, तो रिस्पॉन्ड की वो मीनिंग पूछना चाहते हैं, तो मैं उनको जवाब दूंगा कि नहीं, रिस्पॉन्ड मीन्स जवाब देना या रिप्लाई करना या रिएक्ट करना. लेकिन नो सर, दे वांट मी टू स्पेल दैट RESPOND. हाँ, मतलब दे हैव अ डीप इंप्रेशन दैट मीनिंग मीन्स स्पेलिंग.
हाँ, so this is that comes under, so we saw like the 4 categories, so it comes under the faulty concept hypothesis, where they don't know the difference between their confusing spelling with meaning. Right, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, continue, sir. Sorry for interrupting.
हाँ, बस यही कहना चाहता था, वो मीनिंग को स्पेलिंग समझते हैं.
Yeah. So the biggest challenges with student misconception is like they have a big interference in the learning, with their learning, because if it is not corrected at the right time, overgeneralizations happen, and then it will interfere with any other more complex concept that they have to learn. And the second biggest challenge is it's very hard to give up misconceptions, because children, the very nature of misconception is that it is very subjective. The child has formed that misconception in their mind. So it's almost like a personal belief. So have you tried, convincing somebody that what they hold as a personal belief is actually wrong, and try to teach them the correct belief? You can see the resistance that comes from them. It's very, very hard to give up. So that is why when students make these mistakes, it's very important to correct it early on, because if it's not corrected early on, then they will use it very frequently, and then the more they use it very frequently, in their mind psychologically it becomes very convincing. So it is very difficult to remedy once it becomes like their very personal belief. So right on in the beginning itself, it's very important to correct these mistakes. Now you all are teaching 10th standard, about 10th standard. You don't you wish that like their previous lower grade teachers had been more careful with their remedials and the interventions? The batch of students you get, you think that if they did not have these errors and misconceptions, I could teach that particular grade level much better. They would do much better. So these two challenges, the interference with learning and it's difficult to give up on this thing, makes it very challenging, and this is all the more reason that it needs to be addressed at the appropriate time. So when you are doing student interviews, conducting student interviews, or even any formative assessments other than class test, what kind of engagement will give you a proper understanding of the student's mind? when there are two type of engagements, one is authentic engagement and when one is compliant engagement. So if your children are authentically engaged with you, they will open up very easily with you. They will not have inhibitions or fear of talking, which is then it becomes very authentic. They are not curtailing any of their own words, right? So it's very important to have this authentic engagement when you do the student interviews. If you're just, but if you're running a very compliant classroom where the child feels that, obeying the authority or replying to authority is more important than how they reply, like to be honest with their replies, then it becomes compliant engagement. It becomes a strategic engagement. So for a student interview, you need to take a very authentic engagement approach. It's important how the classroom setting is kept when you're doing the student interviews. So some of the things that we need to keep in mind when you're doing student interviews is like, the atmosphere is free of fear and need to be extremely patient. It's not like, you ask one question and go to another question without listening to the child. Extremely patient with them. Allow them to complete their, train of thoughts. Then do not provide hints or leads to the correct answer because you want the child to come at a conclusion on their own without you prompting them. So that's one important quality. Another thing is when you allow students to change the answer. For example, if they have chosen option A and while reasoning themselves, they come to a thing, no, option A is not correct. Can I change my answer to C or D? And if they change their answer, you have to ask like, what are the reasons for them to change the answer? It's very important to know. And keep it as a facilitating of discussing ideas. And another thing is very important to document the interview, record it. Best is to video record it and keep it so that you can go through it and see like what kind of errors they are making while answering. So these are some of the things to keep in mind. And when you're actually probing, so student interviews are actually in the academic term, it's called probing for evidence. So when you're doing this probing for evidence, what are the kind of questions you can ask? There are clarifying questions. If the child is choosing telling you something, you can ask them to elaborate on it. Not elaborate, clarify like as to why. Like suppose they say, A is correct, then you can ask them, why do you think A is correct? So more clarifying questions. Then there are expanding questions you can ask, like, can you elaborate on this answer, or can you give some examples for this, for their reasoning and things like that. And contextualizing questions, like if they give a particular answer, then you can say, you can ask, okay, does this work in another scenario, in another context? So these are the different types of questions you can use while interviewing students. These are like basic strategies to, get the best out of get the most out from the student of their thinking. And what are the things that we can avoid? Asking too many questions at once, and asking a question and answering it yourself. Always asking the same type of questions, so keep the questions varied. Asking a question in a threatening way, not giving students enough time to answer, ignoring answers, failing to build on answers. When you did your assignment, did any of these mistakes did you make? Do you think that you could have conducted it better? Like, if you had to go back and do your assignment, what would you change? What do you think would change? Anybody?
Yes, ma'am. During the answers, I asked same type of questions to the students. Like I So next time I would try to avoid asking same type of questions. And can we also add in this asking ambiguous questions?
Oh, very nice. Adding ambiguous. I will definitely add, ma'am. When I send the final PPT, I will add that. Very nice. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, avoid asking ambiguous questions. Yes, you should be very clear about what you want. Anybody else wants to tell, like, after going through this one, do you think that something you would have changed if you had to redo the assignment? All of you have done it perfectly. I've avoided all these points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So, so it's important to keep in mind what to avoid. Yeah, that's it from my side for today. Deepa? Okay. Anybody has any questions on today's sessions? Any of this we've discussed? Any
Yes,
questions?
ma'am. In the last slide, the last point I need to be elaborated.
One second.
Asking about just the previous slide, just the last slide.
Okay, 1 second. Failing to build on answers, like, you know, if a child has given you a particular answer, like, you ask them to elaborate and on the answers, like asking them to tell more about why they chose that answer and things like that. It's like clarifying questions, not asking building questions. Like, you need to lead the child to think more. So in order for the child to think more, you need to ask more questions based on the answers they've given. So don't leave it, don't leave the answer as it is and move on to the next question. On that particular answer, you ask more questions. That's what is called building on the answers. Is that clear, ma'am?
Okay, ma'am. I got.
What is the second?
Yes.
Second last point, ignoring answers.
Ignoring answers is like if one child is talking and giving the answer, and it can also be a class discussion, right? And some other child is answering something, and you ignore the child's answer. You can actually, if child A is answering your question and child B from somewhere tells no, that's not the answer, and gives the answer, you could ask this child A to talk to child B and address the child B's answer also. So you can have actually an interaction between students. So you don't ignore some students' answers. You include all the, whoever wants to discuss. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anybody else has any other question? So I was hoping that we could watch some videos, and that's why the sessions, the 3-hour sessions, were planned like that, because student interview process itself is is a part of formative assessments, and it is one of the tools used to find out what are the errors the students are making. Why, the more important thing is why they are making these errors and what is their thinking behind the errors, to find the rationale. So I thought, like, watching the videos will give us more will be more helpful than me just talking. But unfortunately we're not able to play the videos, the audio is not playing. So what I will do is I will send the videos on WhatsApp. Or Deepa, can we email it to them? I don't know whether we can WhatsApp, whether WhatsApp load will allow it. The files are quite big. Deepa?
We will be able to, so Bharti did send it as WhatsApp video, so we should be able to do the same. If not, then we'll share the link where you all can view it on a browser.
So, the up to 2 o'clock was supposed to be the workshop, but because we are not able to play the videos, what I would request you is to use the remaining time to watch the videos.
Yes, ma'am, sure. And ma'am, it would also be a good idea, as Deepa ma'am suggested, that if you send the link of the videos, so we can go through the link and we can watch the videos as well.
Yeah, I think each video is about not more than 6-7 minutes. You can watch the videos for the remaining time.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Deepa, how will you share? Sorry, I think you said something and I.
Via WhatsApp.
WhatsApp only? Okay, okay, okay. In that case, we can close the session today, no? Deepa, any ideas as to how to go about this? Should we?
Sure. So definitely, like, this is one homework. Bindu, is there any other homework for tomorrow?
No, so tomorrow there's no homework for tomorrow because that's what their assignment was. So we will tomorrow what we'll do is only watch the video, the student interviews and do the reports. Homework in the sense, nothing particular I've thought about. Maybe you can share your views on the videos that are, so when you can choose, you can watch these videos and probably share your views on 2 of the videos, each of you.
Yes, that would be better.
Yeah, just not very elaborate or anything like a report or anything, just like even a 5 to 6 sentences about the videos will be nice. And it will be great if each of you do 2 different videos so that all of us can get an idea of all the videos. Then there are, I think, about 6 videos. I would encourage you to watch all the videos, but give your views on 2 videos. Will that work?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Please send the links to us because I couldn't see the videos in the group.
Bharti had put it. Deepa will put it again. And do mention which 2 videos you will be talking about.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Deepa, does that work?
Yes, I'll send it. I'm just setting it up right now. You'll see it like in 5-10 minutes on the WhatsApp group.
Okay. Okay. So. Okay. Thank you, everyone. That's it from my side for today. Anybody has any questions or anything? Otherwise, we can close for today.
Ma'am, I have one query.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding your second last slide, how to conduct a student interview. Ma'am, there was a point mentioned there, facilitate discussion of ideas. And another point that was previously mentioned was do not provide hints. So, ma'am, when we are facilitating a discussion of ideas, ma'am, it can happen. No? We can give some hints to the student.
So once you give the hint, then the student will catch the hint, right? So instead of giving the hint, what it would be better to do is to ask, don't you think if this is the correct answer, then something else will be wrong? You can kind of encourage them to think, but to give the answer in a very in a hint manner, then it will not give them actually what is their original thinking is about that concept. So it's always better not to give them any hints. Do not provide hints and leads to the correct answer. Yeah, this is, the concept comes from being very neutral and, Because if you give the hint or the lead to one student, then the other students are also listening, right? So they will take the hint, and when you're interviewing them, you've already directed them to the correct answer. So you will not know the other students correct, not the correct, what they actually are thinking. So it might be very tempting for a teacher to give the hint, but you should not give it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's very important also when children give the wrong answers, not to be judgmental. And being judgmental doesn't come usually, not necessarily from a verbal mode. Even our facial expressions, our body language, those also can be interpreted for judgments. So it's very important to be neutral, and very important not to give them any, mislead them or mislead them to a wrong answer or lead them to the correct answer.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
During the interviews, we don't show the students, we just hide our expressions about the correct or incorrect answer. But immediately after the completion of the interview of about one question, then students started asking, ma'am, what is the correct answer? So, and when I asked the second question, so I thought they might get an idea that which should be the correct answer. Is it, or should we tell the students after completion of the interview of one question, the correct answer? Should we tell them?
It's okay, ma'am. At that time, it's once you have completed the student interviews, then you can tell them. In between, when a student interview is going on, if you tell one student, then the other students will know. Then you cannot conduct interviews with the other students, and it will not be useful, the other thing. But once your interview is over for one question, you can tell the answer. So or if you're having 5 questions, you have 5 hinge questions, the key concept question, keep them exclusive of, one. So the answer, if it should not be like, if they know the answer to one question, they will be able to answer the next question. So you keep them like completely distinct and exclusive, all the 5 questions. Yeah. Anybody else has any questions? Pankaj sir, are you there? Like, you've been extremely quiet today.
Yes, ma'am. I am an attentive listener here.
We want you to be an active participant also.
I am actively listening, ma'am, and that's also a good participation, a way of participation.
Yeah, we don't want to miss out on your insights. So.
No, I missed nothing.
Yeah. Anything else? If we don't have anything, we can close it. Deepa will post the videos, and please watch it and give us your thoughts on at least 2 videos. Yeah. So Deepa, we can close for today.
Yes.
Okay. You are free to leave now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Meet you tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.